program.
What you talking about?
The program. The program. Get with the program.
Everybody clap to this.
Say what? Get with the program.
It starts now.
Hello and welcome to Get With The Program Radio Show. I'm your host, Gary Jones. Now, Get With The Program Radio Show is a multicultural, informative, relevant, and entertaining one-hour weekly show offering you a combination of diverse interviews with questions and comments. And as always, we will act as a positive source of information. Now listen, if you want to be a guest on the show, all you have to do is log into www.getwiththeprogram.biz, shoot me an email, leave me a message. You never know, you may have a conversation that we would love to talk about. Or give me a call at 919-665-1118. Again, the number is 919-665-1118. Or give me a call on the cell, 919-255-2757. Now listen, today we're going to be joined in a conversation with Damon. Barron is a travel education who helps people save money when they travel. His business is BOLCC, the Business of Life Coaching and Consulting Services. Now, since the COVID-19 pandemic, traveling has taken different measures for safety. Now, we will talk about costs, traveling post-pandemic, and general travel information for moving forward. Today, our topic is traveling post-pandemic. Hello, Damon. Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, Gary. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Doing great. Doing great. Thanks for having us today.
Man, it is a pleasure. Now, I noticed today you're joined with someone here. You're joined with
my lovely wife, Dr. Katrina Damon, is with me today.
Hello, Dr. Katrina.
Hello.
How are you?
Wonderful. It's fantastic to be here.
It is a pleasure to have you both here. I just recently spoke with you today, of course, last night. You're just getting off the road, right?
Yes, just getting off the road, spending some time with our goddaughter who is in South Carolina.
Okay, and that's a wonderful thing. South Carolina, such a rich history in South Carolina we were talking about previously.
Yes, absolutely.
A lot of things going on in South Carolina. I tell you, South Carolina's busy. Now listen, we're going to talk today. Tell me about you two, where you from, your family, things of that nature now.
I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. I lived there for 10 years. But my parents were from South Carolina. Of course, Gary, you know about the great migration back in the day for African-American folks going to the north.
Oh, yeah.
My parents were no different than that. Ended up being there maybe, I think my father, 18 years to the day. This is interesting because he said I was going to be in New York for 18 years to the day. And we moved on a Tuesday night 18 years later.
Wow.
That's the kind of person my father was, and we moved to the South, and it was a transition for me being a young man that lived in Brooklyn to the rural part of South Carolina called Lamar, Darlington.
That was some change, wasn't it?
That was it was interesting to see tobacco and corn. I would ask my family, what is that? What are those things growing? And it was interesting. My dialect, my New York dialect is heavy at the time. And the students would just circle around me just to hear me talk. Because here you are in Lamar, South Carolina, just years earlier, they were turning over buses.
Wow.
Having race riots. And I'm here in South Carolina. So it was an interesting time in my life for sure.
Interesting. And Doc?
And I am originally from Spartanburg, South Carolina. And known in the upstate, Spartanburg, Greenville area. And I have probably visited all 46 counties of South Carolina because I've had family or church friends, family and friends across the state of South Carolina. I grew up there, and I also migrated to different parts of the South. So I'm a true Southern girl. I attended Jackson State University in Jackson, Mississippi. I have to shout out my HBCUs, and I am a proud product of one of excellence. And so I've lived in Mississippi. I've lived in Alabama. I have migrated at different times up north just a little bit, but found my home back here in South Carolina and now North Carolina.
Wow. Now that sounds like a good combination, North and South.
That's exactly right.
I can almost imagine that Southern, that cooking, that Southernness and all that good stuff just migrated right into you, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
You haven't left yet.
Yeah, I'm a little Southern now.
We made you one of us.
That's right.
Now, tell me about the business of of Life CC. Tell me about the business.
The business of life coaching and consulting. We started our business about 6 years ago. Our business is like what we call a three-legged stool. And I think this is what really differentiates us from other businesses. We have three distinct businesses under one umbrella. Our first component of the business is the coaching aspect of our business. I am a certified professional coach with the International Coaching Federation. Now, there are a little over 40,000 coaches that has that actual designation. So that lets you know out of millions of coaches, there's only about 40,000 coaches that have that designation. We work with clients that may need life coaching, business coaching, executive coaching, and coaching, of course, around travel. And we also have a group and team coaching as well. Our consulting business varies from leadership development, specialized training, to helping people create their own courses online.
Wow, that's interesting. In your role in this as well, right?
Exactly. I am part of the consultancy piece where I handle program management. I'm a certified program management professional with the PIM Institute. So I handle that programmatic piece, but also my background is technology. I also have consulted with institutions, nonprofits, organizations in development of their organizational strategy around technology, from security and different aspects. So that's all part of consultancy that we do.
Oh, wonderful. Now, one of the biggest things on the website that attracts me, and even in your bio, I hear the word travel for free.
Yeah.
I like to tell me about, because everybody, I mean, when they go to your website, matter of fact, what is the website before we get started?
Yes, www.bolcctravel.com. Real simple, bolcctravel.com.
There it is. Yep. Now, you're going to see, to my listeners, you're going to see travel for free. Tell me what that means.
Yeah, travel for free. We like to say create a travel for free or for less lifestyle. And what that means for us is you can actually travel for free sometimes. And we'll... let me tell you a little bit about the kind of history and how that developed. Traveling for us is important for a number of reasons, because we help people identify what their travel why is. Gary, when I was at the University of South Carolina in college, I remember during summer vacations and spring breaks, people were going that didn't look like me, was going traveling to all these different countries, going to the Alps, going skiing, going to all these different places. I went back home to Darlington. I felt some kind of way about that. I'm just going to be honest with you. But it almost made me feel almost less than. And I rarely feel like that. But there's a distinguish between seem like people who travel and people who don't. And of course, that's because of finances. And I remember not wanting our children to feel that way. You know, I didn't want them to feel like they were less than because they didn't have the same travel experiences or can have conversations where their horizons were broadened because of their experiences. And so this is why we established BOLCC Travel, because we wanted to, one, make sure that we spent time together as a family, but also to provide exposure for our children so they didn't have to feel like we did when they went to college.
So why is it important to travel?
There's several reasons it's important. One is that exposure, that experience to other cultures, that experience to things that you have not seen, to broaden your own horizons. It's also important to have that release. There's an understanding that we work, we work hard, and many times people do not take advantage of their vacation days from work. Most of the time it goes unused, but that's a time to reestablish yourself and to be able to have some relaxation. There's mental health benefits.
Oh, yes.
Wellness benefits, health and wellness benefits by just simply getting away, even if it's a staycation. There's an opportunity to be able to be revitalized. And whenever you broaden your horizons, you can grow beyond where you are. And sometimes it takes that moving away to be able to see what's possible for you. And that's why it's important. We see young people who've never been out of the city, never been exposed to anything. And when we take a group of young people to something else different, they then begin to say, hey, there's more than what I'm experiencing. I can do more. I can go beyond my current situation. And that is what we lack a lot of times, because we don't know how to relax, rejuvenate, relate, sit back a little bit, take in. Exactly. That's it.
That's the one release. Well, that was a good one. What we're going to do, we're going to take a break, right? We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. Today, we're joining conversation with Barron Damon and, of course, his wife, Dr. Damon. And, of course, our conversation today is traveling post-pandemic. And they have a wonderful company and a travel company. So we're going to have more conversation with them. Listen, don't touch that dial. We're going to be right back after this. Hello and welcome back to Get With The Program radio show. Again, I am your host. Today we're joining a conversation with Barron Damon, and Barron is a travel educator who helps people save money. Now, saving money is what you want to do. Save money when they travel. His business is BOLCC, the Business of Life Coaching and Consulting Services. Now, since the COVID-19 pandemic, traveling has taken different measures for safety. Now, we are talking about traveling post-pandemic, and we also join with his wife, Dr. Katrina Damon. She's joining the conversation with us as well. Welcome back, you two.
Thank you. Glad to be back and enjoying the conversation.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, we talked about a lot of stuff. I want to ask you, when it comes to transformational coaching, what are we talking about?
Yeah, transformational coaching is something that is important to me, because I know, being a person who's seen hundreds and even thousands of young people's lives changed, I know how important transformation is. So transformation, Gary, is a thorough and dramatic change in form or appearance, but we focus on the internal opposed to the external. So that's really what transformation is. We help people change their mindset, modify their beliefs and behaviors while taking actionable steps toward their goals. And we call it the 8 steps of transformation.
Wow. Now, what I was going to ask you, what are some of the services that you provide? Because I saw quite a few services that you provide. So
Barron had mentioned 3 prongs, and basically what that is the coaching and consulting piece that we mentioned, the professional part of that. The second part of that is BOLCC travel education, what we're sharing about today, but also BOLCC events. And what we do, we're memory merchants, I would say, creating lasting memories to be, meaning to be inspired, worry-free, stress-free, happy, and whatever you desire to be. We really look at the unique experiences, things that are uniquely designed for you, your event, which we call life's events, corporate, nonprofit, church or ministry functions and events. We help you cultivate that customer experience that you want it to be. And so that's the uniqueness. And we are also certified in the industry, also, as I mentioned, as a PMP. Another service that we provide is the BOLCC, as I mentioned, the travel, the events, and realty, where we also have Airbnb services where individuals can book in certain places that we have, and also real estate. So those are the main 3 components, I would say, is our services. So you go out on the website, businessoflifecc.com, and you will be able to find even more.
One of the other services that we're really excited about, just started last year as a part of those consulting services, was establishing online courses. Now our travel course is online. Gary, we used to have these travel courses in person, and we'll go and people will come and get information about travel. But we realized that once we left that room, the information left with us. And so we wanted to create an online course that people can go and fast forward, rewind, and have that information as long as they wanted to. So we created travel courses, but we also help people create their own online courses. For example, if you had some content, but you really didn't know how to package it and put it in and get it out there to the public, we can help you with that as well.
Now, speaking of travel, is it safe to travel now? You think it's safe to travel now, with the pandemic and things of that nature?
Yeah, I think it is safe to travel, but there's a lot going on in the travel business. And matter of fact, we like to say prepare, and we use that analogy. The P is you have to plan. The R is research, and that's very important, more than ever before. And then E, execute, in terms of prepare. But when you travel, you want to be vaccinated.
Right.
That's important.
Yeah.
And I know, we're not here to discuss the politics around vaccinations, but it's very important when you travel, because when you do travel, people want to see your vaccination card. Gary, we have our vaccination card in our wallet and our pocketbook. So when we travel, we can pull it out at any time and let people know that we're vaccinated. But also, when you travel, what's really different, you have to have a COVID test.
Wow.
3 days prior to you leaving and 3 days prior to you coming back. Whether you're going to European countries or the Caribbeans, it doesn't matter. People expect you not only to be vaccinated, but you also need to have a COVID-19 test.
So even if I want to go to New York, if I want to go anywhere right now, they test before you get on the plane?
No, now this is just international travel.
International travel,
Yeah,
okay.
Domestic travel, you're good, but if you're in the airport, you still have to wear this mask, and you still have to have your social distance. But wearing a mask is very important in the airport.
Wow. Interesting. Now, with travel being such a busy thing that involves money, involves cost, involves a whole lot of things, involves credit cards. Now, is it good to use a credit card when we travel now? Because I hear a lot of fraudulent things going on.
First, we want to help people discover what their travel why is, right? And we talked about that a little bit earlier, but we also help determine people's interests, their behaviors and their money and their activities. And we help you decide that, because when you start talking about your interests, your activities, you got to talk about money and the budget, right? You can't just go travel without having a budget. At least you don't want to. So when we're talking about, traveling and using credit cards, it's very important to have the right credit card, because you want to make sure you have travel insurance. Some of these great credit cards out here, we use a Chase card, and we don't have to have external travel insurance, because the travel insurance from that credit card is better than a lot of travel insurance companies. And so that's very important. And then the transaction fees. You don't want to pay foreign transaction fees with your credit card. So you need to have a good credit card that don't charge you for those international fees.
Wow.
And that's very important as well. But having a good credit card when you travel is important, because if something gets stolen or lost, that credit card will cover it. And if somebody steals your credit card while you're gone, on travel, and they charge something on your card, the credit company will take care of it.
Wow.
And that's really important.
So
if you have a debit card and people have access to your account, your money's gone.
You're done.
You're done.
So is it safe to have a debit or credit card?
I would say we travel with credit cards, not debit cards, because you can always get money, from your credit card if you want to, but that's not the best thing to do. The best thing to do is bring your money with you. Some people use debit cards traveling, and the fees are astronomical in terms of getting money out of ATMs and all of that.
That's not a good thing to do.
No, it's not.
Better to take your cash with you.
Yeah, take your cash, or have some other other ways to keep your money.
Now, what led you? I think you mentioned a little bit that led you into getting into this business.
Yeah, I was having conversations. I was seeing people that was traveling all over the world that didn't look like us, and we were traveling a little bit, but not extensively. And I went home one day. I said, "Honey, we want to travel a little bit more. We need to figure out how this works." So I met with a board member at the time at the agency I was working at. And I said, "How do you travel?" Because she was traveling all around the world. She said, "We do this thing called credit card bombing." And I said, "Credit card bombing? What's that?" She said, "Oh, we just get a bunch of credit cards and we get all the points off of them. And we don't use the credit cards anymore." She said, "We got a whole drawer of credit cards. And
Wait, you said credit card bombing.
Bombing, yeah.
Hold that thought right there. I got to
Okay.
hear more about that.
Okay.
And just the word bombing, that got me thinking right now. Listen, what we going to do? Credit card bombing. Did y'all hear that? Okay, what we going to do? We're going to take another break right now. Once again, we're joining the conversation today with some travel folks that's helping you save some money and traveling, man. This is going to be good. But listen, what we're going to do, we're going to reach out to Steve Rao, and Kathy Greggs, my political commentary and my activist. What's going on in your world?
Well, Gary, it's great to be here today. And, you know, there's one man in the United States Senate in our country that's wielding a lot of power today. And his name is Joe Manchin from my home state of West Virginia. Yes, Senator Joe Manchin voted in 2018 to support conservative Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh. He's also voted against the recent voting rights legislation, which is against many of the states and the things that they've done to make it harder for citizens to vote, particularly minority communities. Now, what's interesting with Senator Manchin is that he's economically in line with the Democrats. He supported the repeal of Obamacare. He supported the American Jobs Act and the American Rescue Plan. But on social issues, he's much more conservative, favoring guns, supporting an immigration border control wall, and many, many other issues. What's interesting is whether Joe Manchin is an example of a Democrat that can win rural areas of America while at the same time doing the balancing act of Democrats in his own party. One thing is certain, Gary, this senator is the deal maker on almost every piece of legislation going forward, and it'll be interesting to see what this says not only about his political future, but the political future of the country, the elections in 2022, and the presidency in 2024, as the Electoral College is a balance of urban and rural.
Now I want to reach out to Kathy Greggs. Kathy Greggs, tell me what's going on in your world.
Well, Gary, let me tell you what's going on. We're still waiting on Biden administration, and we're waiting on our Congress people to pass the infrastructure plan that was already submitted. You know, I have to tell you something. This plan makes a lot of sense. However, there is some scrutiny because of the plan when it comes to how much money that they're asking for. $4 trillion to have the great infrastructure for Black and brown communities to help build the low income. And I don't see a problem with this. What I see a problem with is the fact that we're not holding our elected officials that is in office, Congress level, accountable to pass these plans that is implemented from our Biden administration, let alone the George Floyd Act, let alone other plans for us to have housing, emergency housing after the COVID. Like, what are we doing? Like, what exactly is going on when we vote people in? I say vote them all out and we start over. Get rid of the bad apples and start over, you know, because the bad apples are falling, man, and we got to keep them all on the ground now. We cannot continue to have these bad apples continue to grow.
Wow, good information, because they say one bad apple can spoil the bunch, right?
That is correct.
That is what it is. Listen, I'm Gary Jones. Just finished to listen to Kathy Greggs, Fairville Pack. Listen, don't touch that dial. We'll be right back after this. Hello and welcome back to Get With The Program radio show. Again, I'm your host, Gary Jones. Now today we're joining the conversation with Damon. Barron is a travel educator who helps people save money when they travel. And also joining the conversation with Dr. Katrina, who is also his wife, and they're both working together. And we're talking about traveling post-pandemic. Now we talked about a lot of good things, but before we took the break, you mentioned something about credit bombing.
Yes.
Tell me more about that. I want to hear that one.
Yeah, credit card bombing is a term people use when they get a number of credit cards and extract the points from those credit cards, right? So for example, if you apply for a new credit card and it happens to have points attached to it, like a new one I looked at the other day, you apply for the credit card and you get 100,000 points or travel points. Now with those 100,000 points, you probably can get 2 plane tickets, maybe 3, depending on where you're going, for free. So you use that credit card just enough to get those points, and you put it to the side and don't use it anymore. That's what they call credit card bombing, because you're getting a lot of credit cards. And the lady told me, she said, we probably have 20 or 30 credit cards. And I came home that evening, I told Katrina about it. I said, that's scary. I said, well, why would people want to do something like that? How would that affect your credit? And, you know, I had all these different questions, more questions than I had answers. But that was the start of my research about travel and how you can travel possibly for free or save money when you travel. And that was by using points for traveling.
Good information. Now, when y'all travel, Because being that you're in the travel business, you do a lot of traveling, right?
We do. We actually do a good bit of traveling. Matter of fact, we're on our way to Aruba in a couple of weeks.
See, look at that. Wow. Now, when preparing for a vacation, when you prepare for a vacation, what do you do first for selecting the location? What do you look for?
That's a great question. And it just depends on where we want to go in that particular part of the world, right? For example, if it's our year to do domestic travel, and that's a part of our behaviors around travel, we may select a place that we've never been before. And so that's a part of our behavior. Now, if it's international, we're maybe looking for a warm spot or a place where there's some things that we want to do that we've never done before. So it just depends on, what you're looking for, but we always pretty much start out with the budget and how much money that we want to spend in that particular place, and then kind of backtrack from there.
That makes a lot of sense. Go ahead.
But I wanted also to share that very early on when we first got married, we established that we wanted to take one big trip and getaways, like weekend getaways. And we wanted to make sure that we established it early. And then when the children came, we made it clear to them that mommy and daddy is going to take some weekend getaways, and we're going to also have family trips. So we have alternated year where there are certain years where we will take family trips that require us to drive. And then there are certain years with which it will require us to fly. So our children, they have an expectation that we're going to at least get one good family trip in every year, and mom and dad are going to have a trip too, and maybe some weekend getaways. So we established a priority that there's a time to work and there's a time to play or relax. And so for mental and physical health wellness for each of us, and that's something when we look at our locations, we determine that because we've set that and established it early. And then also something that Barron talked about is the budget. I want to give caution. We're not advocating using credit cards. We believe that there is responsibility and there's a level of discipline, and we also have a formula that we use that determines whether or not if that's a good plan for you or not, based off of your spending habits and how you have established your budget. Because credit card debt is terrible. It is not something that you want to have. You want to be able to have proper savings and things and prepare and build it as part of your budget, a part of your plan, so that you're not going out of pocket into debt to do something that you can do. And don't think that your travel has to be international. We've had some staycations, and it has been marvelous. It's all about planning, researching and then executing that. My husband surprised me during COVID because we took it very seriously, but planned a staycation nearby. He did his research on their cleaning, the social distance, and the time frames between guests and visits. He made sure that the cleaning happened within 3 days so that there was no opportunity to have interaction with anyone else. But it was right in the area, and I love opera and music. I'm a classical violinist myself.
Oh, wow.
So I enjoyed that, and he had a Boston Pops performance for me. It's set up in our room virtually. And then I just virtually. And what that allowed was for me to relax, unwind, because it had been hard months on my job for what I was doing. And it also gave me an opportunity to enjoy a new area that was right in our backyard, right near us.
8 miles away.
And he used points. So we paid 0.
Wow.
For that 2 to 3 day experience, starting on a Thursday and leaving on a Saturday. And that gave a wonderful opportunity for a staycation. So don't think it has to be something big. It has to line up what Barron talked about. What are your interests? What activities do you want to encounter? What behaviors do you normally do or your family take upon? And then what's the money? Budgeting for it.
What about safety? What are some of the things you look for? Like when you go to an unfamiliar territory, do you do your research before you go there? Like find out what the crime rate is, what the safety measures, how do you do that?
Yeah, we do. And that's why research is so important. I say prepare, and the research is very important because we have been to some places throughout our travels that may not be as safe, but we always do the research up front, and we know, and you have to be careful in terms of, you know, where you're traveling and who you're traveling with. You have to check out the taxi companies, and some places don't have, you know, Uber drivers and all that. But you need to know a little bit about these countries, because as soon as you go travel certain places, there's a whole bunch of people out there wanting to get you into the car. And you have to make sure you have some knowledge and ask some of the locals about some of the things that's, you know, safe, because people are looking at tourists as a money grab, you know, and want to take advantage of them because they know they're from another country. But it's important to do that research up front.
Well, so with your company, is that some of the stuff that you do for people as well? Like for us, help them prepare their trip? Look at all those things, kind of help them make a decision on their traveling? Yeah,
what we are, Gary, we're travel educators, and sometimes people confuse us with travel agents. We just had a potential customer call us a couple of weeks ago, and he wanted us to book a trip to Barbados for, you know, a future wife that he was at. He said, we don't necessarily do that. Now, we have done it before for people, but our main goal is to empower you, for you to learn how to travel and save money. Because the more you know, the more you're going to save, because you're going to take that initiative and say, oh, okay, I need to do this and this and this and this. So we have a 20 question survey that we give people, and basically check boxes, right? You answer those questions, you're going to be ready for any travel experience that you have.
We want you to be sustainable.
Wonderful.
So education is important to know what's possible, what's feasible. There are wonderful groups, Black-owned groups that have travel, you know, for singles and different ones. Those are wonderful opportunities to, if you're single and you can gravitate to some of these groups and travel groups. That's also helps with safety and comfortability, right? So you're not by yourself, and also you're with other groups who are also working alongside that. We want to make sure that you know what to do, so that even if you join, you've done enough research and you understand, because you've been educated about it, how to continue it. So it's not a one-time, one-stop, oh, we had a great time back in 2010,
right?
2017. But what did you do 2018? Maybe not as a big event, but because you've been educated about travel opportunities, what did you do even as a getaway or a staycation? But keeping the momentum for sustainable, building a lifestyle, a travel for free or less lifestyle. That's different from a one-time adventure.
But listen, we're joined today in conversation with Baron Damon and his wife, Katrina, and we're having a good conversation. We're talking about traveling, man, traveling post-pandemic, and they're actually educators for traveling. Again, as he mentioned, he's not an agent. They just educate you on traveling, so you'll know what to look for, pretty much how to maintain and be sustainable and profit from it as well. Listen, don't touch that dial. We'll be right back after this. Okay, now I want to reach out to Dr. Canterbury. Dr. Canterbury, what's going on in your world?
What's going on, Gary? You know, today I am most concerned about the level of overprescribing we have in the U.S. Unfortunately, nearly 50% of people over 60 are taking a medication that they completely don't need anymore. And so whether we're talking opioids or we're talking about children using all types of new medicines, how do we know that they're actually working? And unfortunately, overprescribing has led to so much drug abuse in our world. So I'm worried about us using just prescribing instead of seeing people as a holistic person and looking at other ways to help people on their health and well-being.
Wow. So overprescribing, are we talking about giving someone too much medication or being on several medications that they may not even need to be taking?
It's honestly both, man. It's crazy. It could be something that they didn't need, or it could be one drug that has a side effect and they're writing another prescription to treat that side effect. It's a circle of madness, and it's something that's costing taxpayers billions of dollars.
Wow, good information. Once again, thank you so much, Dr. Canterbury. Appreciate that information. Listen, don't touch that dial. We'll be right back after this. Hello, welcome back to Give It the Program Radio Show. Again, I'm your host, Gary Jones. Again, we're joining conversation today with Barron Damon and his wife. Welcome back to the show, you two.
Welcome. Thank you for having us. We've enjoyed our time here so far.
Now, we talked about a lot of things. No, just off the record, we were having a conversation about the safety, and you was telling me about when you go to certain places in certain countries, safety is very important, right?
Yeah, safety is very important because certain places that you go, when we've been, to Israel, European countries, Caribbean countries, and people will pickpocket you. And you want to make sure, for example, just a little travel hack, if you have a little medicine jar or something, you can put your money inside of that. So people won't, if they grab your wallet, your money's not in your wallet, they're not going to grab, a tube of something that they think is something else. Mm-hmm. So just mindful of those kind of things and making sure you don't just have your money. For example, we have these little backpacks that we have, and where you can't get the zipper, you can't see the zipper. It's like an invisible zipper on it, and we travel with those so people, if they try to unzip it, they can't find it. And by the time they do all that,
you'll notice them.
You'll notice them.
That's good stuff, to be prepared. Now, best vacation places to travel. I know you have some of your own choices, but what are some good vacation places to travel?
Yeah, there's so many wonderful places. We have a video series that's called No Place Like Home, travel series, especially for the pandemic, because there's so many wonderful places across the country that you can travel to. As Katrina mentioned, staycation, or places that you can drive. North Carolina is actually a wonderful place to travel to because there's so many different mountains and trails and all of that. One of Katrina's favorite places is Jamaica. We've been to Jamaica a few years ago, St. Martin. We love St. Martin. It was but our favorite place, and everybody has to go to Hawaii, Gary.
Okay.
It is.
I've never been there.
Yeah, I would recommend, if you're going to do one trip in your life, go to Hawaii, because it's absolutely beautiful, and it's just unbelievable. The people there, the food, the festivities that go on. It's just a wonderful place. And the islands are so beautiful. You can relax and also have a really good time.
Wonderful. And you like Hawaii, Dr. Katrina?
I've actually hiked one of the mountain areas in Oahu, and absolutely, by the time you make it to the top, you can see over the entire island and the water, and it's just absolutely gorgeous, breathtaking. And we also really enjoy a particular rainforest that a golf course is actually built in the middle of that rainforest, and it's, even if you're not a golfer, you would probably want to take a golf cart and drive through. But it's just, and that's just one island. There's many islands, so many things to explore. But I am looking forward to some of our future places that we want to travel that we have not had the privilege as of yet, but it's on our bucket list. And that is, of course, Africa.
Oh, wow.
All the countries. I really want to go to every country in Africa, the continent. But I haven't done that yet, so that's on my bucket list, and Australia is the last one.
Wow. Now, when it comes to African Americans, I'd like to ask this question. Why do you think African Americans don't travel as much?
It's money and time.
Okay.
Katrina made reference earlier. There's 750 million days that's not used. Think about that for a moment. 750 million vacation days not used that people have an opportunity to take vacation and they don't. Think about that.
And you were saying basically because of money and time.
Money and time. That's why, because traveling is or could be expensive, and that's why we teach our strategies. Especially, we have a travel course, and we talked about that a little bit, but we want people to go to our website, and that travel course will teach you the nuts and bolts about travel, how to save money, how to create that sustainable lifestyle of travel.
It's a mindset as well. If you've been in situations where you are struggling to survive, you're struggling to make ends meet, taking a break, vacation, and spending money to do that is not your top priority. It is a mindset, is a shift of recognizing that it may not necessarily take as much money as we think if we plan and prepare for it. So it's the same, it's a mindset of I can do this, but it takes preparing and knowing that it is possible and feasible. And that's that time and money. And that's what that education course, if you take that course, you can see ways where, oh, I can make this. This can be sustainable for me and my family.
And we teach you strategies, and those strategies will absolutely save you money. That's how we started traveling 5 or 6 years ago. We've been to probably 10, 15 countries in the past 5 years. Using those strategies that we teach in this online course.
Wow, wonderful information. Now, what I'm hearing, just for my listeners, they have a company where they can educate you on traveling. Pretty much, not an agent, but they can teach you and educate you. Now, once again, the website.
BOLCCtravel.com. BOLCCtravel.com.
So the process, when we go to the website, they fill out a form.
Yep, you can click on one of the links and it will take you, join our email list because we have some free gifts. Matter of fact, we have a 5-star Airbnb in Virginia, in the mountains of Virginia, that we give away sometimes just so people can get away and enjoy themselves. We just had somebody a couple of weeks ago. And Gary, I see you over there. You
I got
your
my hand
up. We had somebody text us yesterday, matter of fact, and said, can we get this free trip? And we have blessed people with free trips just because we know how important it is to get away and travel.
Now, I'm going to go back to the top. We got a couple of more minutes. I'm going to go back to the top because when we hear the word free, that's what you say, free travel. Yeah. Let's make sure we get that understood again. Free travel. That's on your website. Tell me one more about
it. So free means free. And when we say free, we mean when you use your points, you can travel for free. So you have award points and airline miles points. For example, we just booked our plane tickets to Aruba. We used our points for free travel. And when we say free, we're talking about using points to travel for free. So those tickets cost $635. We had enough points to pay for both of those tickets. It's free. I remember a few years ago, we were in Miami. We stayed 8 nights and we had enough hotel points to help us stay for free all of those nights. We didn't pay one dime for those nights. And so when we talk about travel for free, we're talking about using your points, and we educate you on how to do that. Maximize the points that you have, and we coach people around how to use their points. We had somebody reach out to us. They had a business and they had all these points that they were accumulating but didn't know how to use them. And so we help them strategically use their points so they can start traveling for free.
That's good information. And again, to my listeners, plan your trip, understanding and being educated. You provide a video, you provide conversations with them. Do they come to your office or is this done virtual?
Yeah, this is done virtual, or in our office, they could come and meet with us in person as well. We used to do a lot of in person, obviously before COVID. A lot of training and teaching about education. Now it's virtual.
What are some of the challenges that you face when traveling in unfamiliar places? What is something that has happened to you when you went to an unfamiliar place and you was disappointed?
I think one of the things is understanding language barriers. We were in Barcelona. I know some Spanish and I can maneuver, but there were some native Spanish that I was not quite familiar. And thankfully, we had some younger people in classes for languages to kind of help us out. But it is very important to know some of the languages where you're going. If you're going to a French country or people that primarily speak French, that could be a barrier. Thankfully, most of the countries that we're in, especially in Europe, they're bilingual or multilingual. So they could handle English.
Wow. So, you went to some places and the languages. What about the food? in some of these places. That was a challenge as well.
Yeah, that was a challenge. I mean, looking at the menu and not necessarily understanding what you're ordering. And this is different at every place. But Katrina bring up great points, because even taxi rides, we struggled, and we probably overpaid with taxis because of the lack of communication between us and the drivers. Wherever country there's an app for that language, make sure you download that before you go on your travel adventure. All
right, once again, that's going to about wrap it up for us. Once again, thank you two so much for joining me today. I really appreciate that. Once again, we're joining conversation today with Barron Damon and his wife, Katrina Damon, and they are travel educators who help people save money when they travel. Now, the business is BOLCC, which is the Business of Life Coaching and Consulting Services. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, traveling has taken different measures for safety. Now, we talked about, pretty much cost, the pandemic, general travel information for moving forward. Again, the conversation today was talking about traveling post-pandemic. So once again, thank you two for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Got to bring you back too. You know that, right? We got to bring you back.
Absolutely. So every dime that people will spend with us, a portion goes to our foundation, the BK Damon Foundation. So if they purchase the class, a percentage of it goes to helping a young person and give them a scholarship.
Wonderful information. Thank you two so much. Once again, you listen to Get With The Program radio show. I'm your host, Gary Jones. As I always say, stay positive, keep your head up, and remember to
Get with the program.
What you talking about?
The program. The program. Get with the program.
Everybody clap to this.
Say what? Get with the program.
It starts now.